Hello and welcome to this webinar. And my name is Anna Friborg and I'm a senior consultant at Timeplan. I'm going to show some news that came in the latest version 7.20. You will be muted during the session as mentioned, but you're more than welcome to ask questions after the presentation is done. I expect the session to take approximately 20-25 minutes, depends a little bit, we've at least chosen to show the news that we think could be used in a lot of countries and with a focus on availability. Of course, there came quite a lot of news this time, well, we have some time and I will choose the ones that we have decided within Timeplan. And I want to start with the notification rules that normally is under administration. That has moved now. Normally it's administration and then notification rules or warning rules, what you choose to say. As from now, you'll find the settings for notification rules under administration and rules and notification rules. And we also have a new feature or also rules, which is called availability rules, but I will get back to that in a bit. There's been a focus, as mentioned, with availability, and we have quite some changes there, positive ones, of course. And what means with availability registration, there is a possibility for employees to let the planners know if they can or cannot work. And that can be done via the web app. And the basic settings for this is to go to administration, internet, manual terminal and absence entry, registration options, and then there's a new, well, it has been there before, but there's a change. To start with is you have to tick in the box for allow registration of availability. But the difference from in the past is that, or before version 7.20 was released, you had to make settings for what availability types they were allowed to register and for how long upfront and or after an absence type was allowed to be placed down here. This has been taken away now. And now we have another feature that you can set up instead, and that is by department. But this, you can say, is the basic setting to be able to do availability. And the next one that has to do with availability, and I will show the result of everything in a bit, is to go to administration, departments. Then you choose the department name that you would like to make some settings for. So either you press edit or you just double click. And here we have a complete new tab, which is called availability plan. And here you have several options, and that is what for availability types they are allowed to register. And there's also what for availability types that are allowed to be edited by the employee. As a recommendation, we think that it should be the same here. So they can insert, but they can also edit the same type of availability. And the availabilities you set under administration and absence type. And then you can choose which ones you want to have. And then we also have how the message should be sent out to the employees. And here I've chosen to have a message that says new planning period, and then you can just say hi, and then you can also use, of course, as you can do also with in electronic forms, etc. You can insert the employee name, so that comes automatically in the web app. And then now it's time for a new availability period, and then start date or end date or what you choose to have here. And then you say that availability plan open should be sent to the web app. you can also make settings for when it closes, and then if it should be via email or SMS or how you want to have it. You can mix all these. And the whole point is to actually send a message to the staff or the employees that now it is possible to register the availability if you can work or cannot work. And the number of days from the start of the agreement period, the planning period, that's really important to know that the settings here are based on the agreement period. So there will be, in this case, a message sent out that all these absence or availability types can be registered and will be sent out as a message 15 days before availability registrations opens based on the agreement period. And when it comes to the availability registration that is closing, also based on the agreement period, is 5 days. And then before sending a reminder of the message is 2 days. And here I can also choose if it only applies to this department, or if I'm standing, for example, under a statistic department, I can also say that settings inherited from overlying departments, but also inherited by underlying departments. So I don't have to make a setting for every department. When I'm done here, I press OK. What is important to know when it comes to these settings on the departments, for these messages to be automatically sent, an auto run has to be set up to run every day. And that is under administration and auto runs here. The next step that we can do is to also choose which base plans the employees can place their availability or non-availability into. And that is under the go to administration and then the basic weeks names. And then I can choose which ones I would allow them to enter availability. So in this case, I've chosen even week, uneven week, and weekend without work. And actually this has been possible in the past, but the difference is now that if I want to have different weeks, like here I have week 10 and week 11 and week 13, that in the past you had to also jump through week 12 in the web app. But now you will only see the ones that has been, put a check mark into. So here I've chosen for these 3 weeks. And now I will show you in the web app just to see that it really works with these 3 weeks. Go to my web app. It has been a little bit slow today. Now it is very slow. And of course, later on I will show you the complete thing, how it will work out. But under roster, and then you have a tab now, since we've made all these settings, use as availability. So here I see exactly what I said, the even week, the uneven week, and weekend without work. Those were the 3 weeks that I mentioned and made a check mark in. So it jumps over week 12 that I did not choose. And here I can see that there is already some availability set in on that the manager has made. But I will get back to this in a second. Because as an addition to this, we also have new rules, and that's the reason why we have moved the normal notification / warning rules So we have administration, and then we have rules, and then we have the normal notification rules as mentioned, and then we also have availability rules. And here I start with either I create one. Now I already pre-set one, so I can just choose either which department or the complete company, which all the rules that has been set will be shown. And when I double click on it, then actually it is, you will make settings how often a person is allowed to choose a certain availability type. This in order to secure that it's not always the same people asking to not work on Saturdays, for example. And here we have, of course, my basic weeks. I choose the availability types that should be allowed to register, and also the collective agreements that this rule should concern or apply to. This is the department and the name. This is my test department, and the description in the web app is rules. And I can also inherit settings in underlying department if I've already made settings to avoid to do it twice or more. And here I also have some settings as well. And in my example is that I made is that you are allowed to register this or these availability types of a maximum one time within 5 days in 1 week. And it has to have a minimum length of 60 minutes or a maximum of 600 minutes. And it may occur during all weekdays. And it should be placed within the time range of 6 in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. When I've made these settings, okay, I close. Now I made the basic settings of what type of availability types they're allowed to do and add in the web app, but also what base weeks they're allowed to add or insert these availability types. And I've also made a rule that says that, well, a notification rule, kind of, availability rule of the minimum length, etc., about when they insert the availability types. So I will show you now in the web app how it will look like. It seems like a lot of settings, but it's not. It goes quite quick, actually. And me as an employee, I went quicker. Go to roster and use as availability. And now you will see that I'm allowed to set an available because I want to show that I'm available. And I'm available between 8 o'clock a.m. till 1700, 5 o'clock p.m. And I want to say that I'm available on Tuesdays. And automatically there comes the color of availability. Then I press OK. Now I'm getting a violation of the rules because the number of availability within 1 day can be a maximum of 5. Actually, this is a reported error already. It should be the other way around, of course. But when I move to the next week, here I don't have any availability so far. So I should be able to add an availability type. I say I want to have it on Wednesday, and I say OK. Okay. This should work, and it worked earlier today. I apologize for this. This I have to get back to you on because this has been working all the time. Sorry for that. Just to be sure, I will also add it over here. So, okay, sorry, I have to get back to you on that one. The whole point is then later is that you're coming into the base plan and you have this week 10, for example, or week 11. And there it is supposed to come in. Let's see, I will take week 11. And then it should come in here and then you can place the base plans. Then we have a new thing called planning notes, and that has to do with GDPR. We can now delete planning notes, which we could not do earlier. We had some possibilities to actually delete everything according to GDPR, but this was missing. And that you can do under program and then delete data and then planning notes, and that's new. Then I choose my company. Then I choose the start and the end date. So in what time frame do we want to delete something? And also, do we want to delete notes on working hours, but, or, and also absence and availability notes? Now I choose to have notes on working hours. And then I can choose these. Then I can just say, let's say we take it all. So now we delete. And then you get a warning, of course. All comments for the selected time period will be deleted. This cannot be undone. Continue. And we say yes. And also this is the second question for the absence and availability notes. And then it's done. And here we only see still the same window, but we can go into administration. Now we can go to log. Then we go to employees. And then we choose working hours note mess. And here we can see that it's working hour notes registered between, and then of course this information is not being shown on who, because that is the information that we've just deleted, but at least we can see who has done it, the IP address, etc., and what time. We also have a new field under historical data, and that is when you go to a MasterCard, you can see different historical info about an employee, and now we've gotten a new field, and we are going to go to ELISA. And when we go into under the employment history, the list, this is the notice code. So you can see the reason why an employee stopped. And of course, here the person is hired again, so therefore there are no notice codes on that one. Then we also have some news about the time registration, and that is also on department level, and that is under administration and departments. And then we have our 310 department, and I will double click. Then we go to time registration. The first one is that if a company has staff that are clocked in on functions or tasks, it can be shown at what time they've clocked in and clocked out on what function. And how to do this is to put a check mark in the box for show current function in time registration. When I have ticked there, I press OK. And then I will show you in the time registration how it looks like. Go to the 11th. And we have on Isabel, here we have a current function, a new section. So actually what we can see here is she's supposed to start at 9:30 and at 4:30. And she has clocked in all right. And this is the function that she is planned from the start here. And on the right-hand side, we see that she clocked in with the function selling, and she changed the task at 12 o'clock to replenishment, for example. And that is actually the whole point, is that you can measure how many hours or minutes are being spent on certain functions or tasks. And good to know is also that under administration and export, you can now also in the wage file, you can also add, if you want to, here, function. In that way, you can also see the additions and the hours per function. So then you can see costs and hours, etc. And it's just to pull that over. The second one is administration also and departments. We go here again. And that one is to show attendance control in time registration. And this I will show you what this means. And another thing that is good to know is that when you're doing now, I've already preset this one. But for example, let's say I would like to make a check mark for also other departments. I can double click here on planning or the statistics department. And when I choose to do mark a check mark, then I get this question: should a registration apply to sub-departments as well? So once again, that you don't have to go into every department. We say yes. We say no, it just stays on that department that I entered. Well, what is this now? Yeah, it is that we have new little icons up here. And they also are down here. And now I'm the 18th, that's today. And here we can see that there are 2 persons present. And here we can see it's Alistair and it's Marie. We have 8 persons that are not present. And here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here we have 2 persons that will meet later. So they have actually not started yet, which we can see because this one starts at 3:15. Ken is starting at 8 o'clock. So of course there's a good reason why they are not clocked in yet or having an absence, etc. This one I will come back to. And here we have one that is approved, and that is Eliza, because she worked this morning and she has clocked within the work times. So it was approved by the system. This question mark, that is when I, for example, go back to yesterday. Here I have a lot of persons that has not been handled yet. So not approved, nothing. We have not told where they are, either by clocking or by absences. At this moment, we don't have a report that we can print out this, but me and my colleague Marianne, we said we think that it will come probably. And of course, you can also create and print a duty list if you want to have who are in the house, but this is more detailed. And as the last thing I want to let you know is that we welcome the language of Russian into the TimePlan family. So now we have another language within TimePlan. You can see here, Russian. Well, that was actually everything that I was going to show you today. And as always, you can find the info like manuals, videos on our website, and also at one point also this webinar if you want to see it once again. And just log in with your personal login and password. And if you don't have it, please contact me or the support department in Denmark. Thank you so very much for joining for today, and I hope you'll join next time. And have a nice day.